Welcome to the Even Better podcast, where your host, Sinikka Waugh of Your Clear Next Step, brings you exciting content about making communities better by helping people get even better at work.
Today's episode is brought to you by Your Clear Next Step in the Changemaker Certification Program.
Would you like to save time by solving the right problem sooner with a realistic and measurable plan? Reduce overwhelm by finding more sustainably productive ways to work? Improve employee morale by creating more positive workdays from within? Stay competitive by tightening your turn or increasing your agility in adapting to changing customer demands? If you said yes to those things, then we have the solution for you.
Interested in becoming a changemaker? Give us a call at 515-442-0545.
Hi friends, Sinikka Waugh here with Your Clear Next Step. Thanks for joining me today at the Even Better podcast. This is part of our ongoing mission here at Your Clear Next Step to help us all have even better workdays so that together we can co-create better communities. And today we're talking about some of the leading causes of pain in organizations. Have you had one of those days where you just got out of a meeting and you thought to yourself, oh, that was painful? I can't imagine that you haven't. So many of us have had so many of those conversations where we just thought to ourselves, wow, that was uncomfortable. That was downright painful. The conversation was unpleasant. There were tensions that got in there. The meeting itself didn't accomplish what we thought it would. For whatever reason, we just didn't move forward. The project itself didn't go forward. The things that we were supposed to be doing didn't do what we thought they would. And I'm working with a client right now, and they're asking a question about what would come next. So one of the questions that she's asking me is, and as I just am transitioning from that conversation into this conversation, she's been asking me and others in the organization, she's been saying, okay, well, what's next for us? We've done some training, and what would be next for us? And it's just been an interesting conversation because as I think about it, as we move forward in any training plan and in any conversation, we have a pretty intentional plan here that we move people through as we go through their progress between listening to what's going on in the organization and listening to what the pain is that they have, and then helping them create a plan for them. And so I'm ready to talk to her about what the plan is based on indicating and indicators in her organization about what's going on in her organization and speaking specifically to them. But I can already tell you off the top of my head that when we get in, like I can go equipped into a problem solving session with already the top 3 leading causes of pain. I can say, we're going to collect data from your organization. We're going to ask people what their pain points are, but I can predict already, I can anticipate that a majority of the pain is going to come from one of these 3 areas. It's going to come from a communication pain. It's going to come from a role responsibility pain, or it's going to come from a risk management pain. Because study after study after study shows us that the leading causes of pain, the leading causes of project pain, the leading causes of organizational pain, the leading causes of discomfort in project management come from ineffective communication, role responsibility mismatch, and ineffective risk management. So even without being there within that organization for the last few months or however long it's been, even without being in your meetings right now, even without sitting next to you in whatever happened to you earlier this week or last week or wherever you are, what it is this morning, even without being there, I can probably predict that some of the pain that you're experiencing happened for one of these 3 reasons. And what I'm going to invite you to do is I'm going to stop and invite you to stop and think for just a moment about these 3 leading causes of pain. And if we help fix them, we can make our organizations better. We can actually help solve the pain in our organizations. And when we get at solving the pain in our organizations, we have better workdays. The people next to us have better workdays. The people who are receiving our products and services have better workdays. The people at the top have better workdays. Everybody that we go home to has better days, nights, evenings. Tomorrow is better. So let's look at the business return on solving some of these things. And they're super there are tactical things that we can do. And I'm not saying they're easy. I'm not going to pretend that you can snap your fingers and this stuff goes away, because some of this stuff is hard, right? People are challenging. There are tricky things that we need to address. And I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case, right? I'm not going to pretend that there aren't things that are significant and harder to impact. But if we can simplify with some pretty distinct messages, we can get to better days pretty fast. So let's take a look at these. The first one, and you've heard me talk about it time and time and time again, ineffective communication is a leading cause of project pain. So what does this look like? I'm going to pause it one more time. Okay, it's not the last time. I'll do it over and over and over again until everybody hears me, that we need to know what we're working on and why we're doing it. What this means is quite simply, and I'm going to follow a thread here, because most of the time role and responsibility mismatch comes out when we don't have a clear understanding of a project leader or a project sponsor or a project team member or a project stakeholder or someone who is impacted in some way by that project doesn't understand, because they haven't heard yet, what is it that we're doing? Why are we doing it? What are we doing and why are we doing it? So that project manager really needs to just dive into, or that business leader or that person who is at the front of the kind of leading the pack here, driving us home, really needs to articulate clearly, what are we doing and why are we doing it? That concept comes from our project sponsor, if that's where it is, or our business leader. The leadership is driving the what and the why, but it's up to the project manager to help drive that message home, keep championing that, make sure that's in front of us, crystal clear. Start every meeting with it. Why are we meeting? What is the purpose of this meeting? Why are we having this conversation? What does done look like? If we're having a meeting to discuss, how do we know we're done? Personally, I think if we're having a meeting to discuss, let's have that meeting over coffee or drinks or something. Let's not have that meeting and take up valuable business time. Maybe we're having a meeting to decide. Then we know to discuss and to decide to reach a conclusion. But if we're having a meeting to do something, let's make sure that we know our prep work that needs to have been done in advance and that we're coming prepared with that information in hand. All right, so let's go to the second point here, role and responsibility mismatch. So often that role and responsibility mismatch is existing because maybe it's because I didn't understand what you wanted me to do. Have you ever had that? I mean, legitimately, I'm sitting across from you and you're expecting something from me, and I don't get what it is that you're expecting from me. That feels like a communication problem. So it goes right back up into that top piece, but it still winds up being so painful. It's still so critically destructive to our meeting, our project, our initiative, because we've still got the same problem. I'm now leading a conversation, but I don't understand that I was supposed to lead it. Or I'm sitting in a room participating in a conversation, and I don't understand what role you want me to play in participating in this conversation. This is so destructive. Clarity of communication, clarity of expectation, holding someone else accountable to an expectation that has not been set is unreasonable. It's tyrannical at best. It's impossible at most likely. So the responsibility falls then on both of us. One, if I'm holding you to an expectation, it's up to me to say, hey, I need you to do this thing. But it is also, if I'm showing up in a meeting and I look around and I'm like, whoa, somebody's expecting me to do something, the accountability then falls on me to say, I think you're expecting me to do something. I'm not clear. The accountability falls also on me to say, wait, I'm unclear. Wait, I'm unclear. I have a question here. We can return value to our organizations by asking questions. If you're not the one in charge, then ask the question, what is it that you want from me? What is it that you're looking for from me, so that you get that clarity? The second way that role responsibility mismatch shows up is in this division between either a capacity mismatch or a capability mismatch. So capability mismatch is when I simply don't have those skills. You've asked me to build you a doghouse, and I am not the hammer wielding type. I've never owned a dog. I am not the right person for that. That's a capacity or a capability mismatch. I don't have those skills. And when we don't have skills, it's up to us to raise our hand and say, I'm not your gal. I am not the one for you on this. I know that you've asked me to do this, but I'm not the one. This is not in my skill set. This is not in my bailiwick. Please, please, please pick someone else. The other way it shows up is in a capacity mismatch, where someone expects me to do something, but it simply doesn't fit in my bandwidth. I'm already stretched so thin. There's already too much on my plate. I can't take on one more thing. There's no room for this. Maybe it's something I love to do. Maybe it's something I really want to do for you. And I simply cannot. It is not in our best interest as an organization for me to take on work that I don't have the bandwidth to do. I will either do that work sloppily or I will not get to it, or I'll try to do it and other work will fall. Now, here's the thing. Most of us are not sitting around thinking to ourselves, ooh, I can't wait to take on work I am unskilled to do. Ooh, I can't wait to take on work that I can't handle because I've already got too much work on my plate. Oh, I can't wait to make this project fail because I'm going to say yes to things I simply cannot do. We don't do that. Nobody is doing that. Nobody's doing that. We don't say yes to things we know we cannot do. We don't say yes to things we know we don't have time for. Not intentionally, not to make other people fail, not to make our projects fail, not to make organizations fail. We do it because we want to please people. We do it because we want to say yes, because we want to get things done, because we want to show that we can shine, because we have an unfairly optimistic view of what we can actually accomplish, because we hope for the best. We do it because we're hopeful, or we're proud, or we don't want to let someone down. But my friends, when we say yes to something that we cannot do, we're depriving someone else of the opportunity to say yes. When we say yes to something we cannot do that we should have said no to, we're putting our organizations at risk. We're creating pain for someone else. When we say yes to something that is not ours to say yes to, without asking for help, without asking for support, without creating space for support structures or tools or mentoring or coaching or training, or without at least surfacing the risks associated with this, we are creating organizational pain that runs the risk of the project failing and the organization having significantly increased cost. It is far better to say, wait, you've just asked me to do something I don't think I have time for. Are you sure? Wait, you've just asked me to do something I'm not sure I have the skills for. What makes you think you need to ask me? If we can at least have that dialogue in a safe space, we can find out, hey, is this a stretch goal for me? Is this a growth goal for me? Is this something that I'm doing with someone else to help develop me, or to develop our organization? Or am I it? Am I all there is? Am I the only person who can do this because everyone else is tapped out? Maybe that's the truth of the situation, but at least we're not going into it blindly. And the third leading cause of pain is ineffective risk management. And this leads right in from the last point. Ineffective risk management. This is when we know there's a possibility of failure. We know for sure that something could go wrong and we still do nothing. I know for sure that rain is going to come and I leave my car windows open anyway. I am pretty darn sure that it's going to rain tonight and there's a leak in the basement somewhere and I leave stuff on the floor anyway. I am pretty sure that I don't have the skills to do this, but I take it on anyway without a backup. I am pretty sure that this is going to be painful and I do it anyway without a secondary plan. I am pretty sure that vendor is going to be late and I go ahead and give them our date anyway without any consideration of what I'm going to do when they are late. Ineffective risk management causes deadlines to be missed. It causes rework. It causes ruin. It causes pain. It causes stuff that we could have done something about if we had planned in advance. And the dumb thing about it is that we knew it was there. We knew better. And when we know better, we can do better. When we know better, we can do better. And this is why ineffective risk management makes me so stinking crazy, my friends, is because we do know better. Risk management allows us to stop for a second and say, hey, what did we learn last time? What do the wise people around us say? What are the things that could go wrong and what should we do about them? And then we simply take a plan and we do something about that plan so that if the sun stops shining and the rain clouds come out, hey, no big deal. I've got me an umbrella. If the basement starts to flood, then the stuff on the floor will get wet. And so I have lifted all the stuff off the floor and it's up off the ground. So nothing will get ruined if that little bit of water comes. If, then, and so is a great way to think about how we're going to handle the things that could possibly go wrong. If I get overwhelmed by the overabundance of tasks on my plate, then I'm not going to get to this secondary task. And so I've already identified who can pick up the slack when I'm at my wit's end. And I'll tap into my backup. My friends, organizational pain happens when we don't think these things through. Communication, what are we doing and why are we doing it? Role responsibilities, who's doing what, and do they have the capacity and the capability to do it? And if not, what's the backup plan? And how are we going to handle what could go wrong? It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. How do we learn from what we've encountered so far? That's what I invite you to think about this day. As I was thinking that through with that client that I was just talking about, we were talking about how do we move then to what's next? And here at Your Clear Next Step for the last, I can't even think, it's been 17 years now, one of our customer favorite classes in that whole time, our best-selling class has been our 2-day project management essentials class. In this 2-day class, we teach you kind of the foundations, the essentials of project management. And this is for people who are doing like project management for about 80% of their job. In the first day, we teach kind of the foundations of project management, what are the basics. And then in the second day, we finish up with that first day, slow it down the pace just a little bit. And then in the second day, we also do essentially an experience. You get to walk through a project and you get to experience what project management looks like. We do an experiential learning through experience of a project. So in our 1-day project, our foundations of project management, that's for people who are experiencing project management, maybe less than 80% of their lives. They're doing their work, and occasionally projects are something that they have to do as well. So our foundations of project management is our 1-day project management class, and it sort of accelerates into project management. But what you don't get is that experiential learning of the project on the second day. And then we've got an accelerated project management class, which is condensed into a half day and really designed more for people who aren't leading projects, but who are encountering projects in one day. Those are kind of some highlights of the basic curriculum here that we teach at project management. And here at Your Clear Next Step, we've been teaching those for the better part of 17 years, and they have been customer favorites for a really long time. If you'd like to learn more about any of those, you're welcome to check out our website. We've got public options of those either through our website or through the state of Iowa, where we offer those publicly, virtually, or live and in person. You're welcome to check those out. We would love to see you at any time, and lots of tools and resources available for you to check out. Always here with the spirit of helping you have a better workday so that we can co-create even better communities. Thanks so much for joining in. Thanks for listening. And on behalf of all of us at Your Clear Next Step, we hope the rest of your day is even better.
Thank you for tuning in today. The Even Better podcast will be back with more content soon. But in the meantime, subscribe to our podcast or check out our website at yourclearnextstep.com for more information. See you next episode.